Please welcome Jowita Bydlowska and Patricia Pearson.
Tell us what this book is about.
What the book is about, a first year of my son's life and also my relapse into addiction. It's called Drunk Mom. It's a pretty descriptive title. I identified as an alcoholic when I was about 27, and I went to meetings. I got sober for 3.5 years, and I got pregnant, and I gave birth to my son, and shortly afterwards I relapsed into addiction. So the book talks about the 11 months that I spent trying to hide my drinking and drinking a lot addictively, and feeling desperate and hopeless, and also while taking care of a brand new baby.
What prompted you to feel that you were an alcoholic?
When you're in your early 20s and you go to university and you become of age, drinking is very glamorous and fun, and sort of that's just what you do in your 20s. We used to have these jokes with friends. I remember, when we're still drinking like this, by the time we're 25, we should all go to AA. Like as a group, we're gonna do this AA journey. But so then, a lot of people sobered up or moved on or started families or stopped drinking as much, sort of mid to late 20s, people around me, and it seemed like I couldn't really make it stop. I was, I called myself the last girl at the party. And sometimes, when there would be parties, I would be the last girl, and then I would go home and then drink at home again, or I no longer would be able to go out without prepping, as I called it. So, and sometimes I never left the house because I was prepping so well that, I just stayed home in my shoes and in my coat, sleeping in my bed. So, so that was the time when I knew I crossed certain lines, and I was no longer just a fun party girl.
There is no rhyme or reason to this beast. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. It's certainly true. And I think it makes people angry that in my book I don't offer any solutions or it's not a prescriptive, like I don't talk about, and this is how you get sober because this is how you get addicted.
The price of sobriety is constant vigilance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So does that, when you realize that you could even, this is how I see your book, is that it's not really a book about motherhood per se, it's a book about addiction, and it's a book about how even being a mother can't prevent you from suddenly being taken by this wave.
Mm-hmm.
So does that then worry you in terms of the future for yourself?
My sobriety has to be as intense as my addiction was,
Right.
So the idea that I want my sobriety, I have to want it on a daily basis, it's like every day. That's sort of how I relapsed, was because I no longer believed myself to be in need of constant sobriety. I believed that, for that one moment I was completely normal, just like everyone else around me. But I think right now, that I'm sober again, I just feel that I need to maintain it, like I said, every day, and I need to, I have support groups and I have people I can talk to. So. Yeah, and that makes it easier and achievable.
So then what I found interesting was that when you decided to write about it, it was partly because you wanted to be out of denial about what it was that was going on. It was a way of expressing, of truth-telling, right? So does it surprise you that people want to impose some other motive on you now?
I was kind of surprised at how there was a lot of judgment because of my revelations, because of this so-called oversharing. I got a lot of this, like, what is your son gonna say? And how dare you, like, this is very selfish. It is attention seeking. It was suggested that I replaced alcoholism with this attention seeking behavior, that this is why I wrote this book, to I don't know, get this attention. There's been a lot of bizarre, to me, criticism over, my motivations, where all I wanted to do, truly, was to tell the truth. You know what? One of the things that I struggled with when I was drinking, when I was in the throes of my addiction, was trying to answer the question why or how, or what's going on with you? Why can't you just go for a walk instead of taking a drink? People have suggested, read a book. Books are great, but they're not much for addiction. So, and people were just trying to help. But what I tried to do with this book as well was to give this insight into the way your body and your mind works, and describe this sort of obsession and you know, and talk to people. It's, you know, it's written in present tense. Talk to people directly. This is what it feels like. I always had this idea of the reader almost being face to face with me, and you know, talking to him directly, just, you know, from the bottom of my heart, and an ugly heart at that, you know, at that particular time.
So can you explain to the audience what the intensity level was? Like, what were you actually drinking every day?
Vodka, because I believed it had no smell. I thought you could cover it with perfume and other things. And white wine a lot, because I'm also quite vain, so I thought, oh, red wine stains your teeth, so I'm just going to drink white wine. It's much more ladylike. And then, you know, sparkly wine, because it's like juice practically, has low content of alcohol. And I had all these tricks that, you know, I mean, I had a hole in the lining of my purse where I would, you know, stash my little Mickey of vodka. Addicts are very, very crafty people. I mean, half of it is, you know, addiction and this sort of mental and emotional and physical obsession, and half of it is lying and deception. You really have to know how to manipulate and how to lie, and I mean, you have very, very busy mind. So that's, you know, that's what I was trying to show, this like constant, you know, plotting and lying and, you know, and drinking, and all the while, you know, trying to be a mom and loving my son very much. My love for my son was completely overpowering. I was never prepared to feel love that great. And then addiction was as much of a strong force in my life. I sort of had two forces going on in my life at that time. One was, you know, saying to me, you need to remove yourself from your child and from your family, because you do love them, but you need to go. And, you know, I don't know if I would interpret this as suicidal thoughts, but it was certainly like, this is it, like, no more you here. And the second thought in that particular moment was, actually, you can stop all of this, you can go back, you can, you know, admit to all the lies, you can, even if you have to, you know, live on the street or look for a place, or, you know, go through divorce, or whatever you will have to go through, it's much better than the first option. And I think that was that moment when, you know, in the book, where I just suddenly saw the two options, and one just seemed so much better. So that's, you know, when I was going to rehab, because I had to go to rehab eventually, I was judgmental, because I was saying, you know, I'm not as bad as them. I mean, you know, it's like there was a lady who had no teeth because she was doing so much cocaine, she ground them to the bone, and it was like, you know, it was pretty harsh, you know, a bunch. But after I came out of rehab, I relapsed again. And I put this in a book because someone said to me, oh, like reading it, you just feel so exasperated and so annoyed with the main character, with me. And I was like, that's exactly how it felt to me, and especially to my loved ones. You just like, get over yourself, like do something. And what happens with an addict is that whatever hits you, you just suddenly feel like, I need to put a wall between, you know, reality and me. Like I can't deal with this, you know. And to give you a good example, like on Friday when I started reading some of the press, my first thought was, I quit smoking recently. My first thought was like, I need a cigarette. Like, and I didn't. Like, there was no need for me to have a cigarette. I just immediately wanted to go like this from, you know, from what happened. So, yeah.
So that's the vigilance that you've got to deal with for the rest of your life. Well, good for you.
Thank you.